What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the video from the Demon Overlord, and as you can see, we are going to go over another box of miniatures. Today, this is from Path, or at least that's what I'm going to be calling it. I think it's called Path Gaming fully. It is a Canadian company, so interesting. It is apparently the third set, so I might have to look into more of what they do if this set turns out to be amazing good and worth, the interest. Now, I found these on Amazon. They're unavailable at the moment, is the last I looked at them. And yeah, it is from Canada. I think it's called Path Gaming. Yeah, there it is right there, pathgaming.com, if you want to go there to find them. So, interesting. And let's take a look at what's inside and see what kind of cool, hopeful, unique sculpts we got and compare. So, first up out of the box, we have a Goblin. I would call it a Goblin Warrior, a Goblin Fighter, Goblin Guard, whatever you really want to call it, but it's a goblin, and I don't mind his sculpt. Got them big pointy ears, got himself a little scimitar there, he's got himself a little tar-style shield with some nice spikes. He's got some very nice detail, and I kind of look forward to painting him. There were also some sprues that looked like to be extras to his arm for the shield, an arm for a book, and an arm for a wand, but I'm not going to worry about those because they're just like extra sprues because these figures look all put together so far. Interesting. I love his sculpt. Very nice. And it's always nice to see more goblins. We always can use a couple more goblin minis to throw around the board. Don't know if I grabbed any goblins to compare him with. I didn't. But that was actually also because, he's a goblin. He's going to look like the other goblins. He's a little bit probably bigger than your normal goblin mini. But hey, he's a big, beefy fighter. He could stand in for a barbarian or a good fighter, which need to be a little bit more physically powerful. So let's move on to the next miniature, and then we'll actually compare that one. Next up here, we have what looks to be and what I'm going to call a werebore. That's right, a werebore. Something there's not many of in the D&D universe for the miniatures. I know Monster Menagerie came out with some werebores, but it's nice to see this werebore be a lot bigger and more commanding and carrying a giant hammer. I know the werebores of the miniatures from Monster Menagerie, one carried an axe and one carried a sort of wooden-looking mallet, but this guy looks interesting. Now let's compare him to a werebore from the Monster Menagerie and see how he stacks up. Well, as you can see, he is a lot bigger and has a more regal look than your standard werebore. I only have the axe variety werebore, which is not bad because now we can see it with different weapons. And this werebore is a pretty beefy boy. But perhaps you could use this werebore in an interesting way. Perhaps this is what happens when a Goliath is bitten by and given the lycanthropancy for werebore, or maybe a furbolg, as they are giant relations of giant kin, or at least they're believed to be. So maybe you could use it for that. That way, if you have a Goliath player, now you have a werebore that could work and stand in for him when he freaks out from the lycanthropancy and goes ballistic. Well, let's get to the next miniature, as there are 20 of these bad boys to go in the box, each with unique sculpts. Let's move on. Next up, very simply, we have a gnome. I want to say it's a gnome. It could be used as a halfling, but it's a necromancer. What an interesting change, as it has a skeleton on the end of that staff. She's kind of in a little squat posture. Got the little ponytail rocking out the back. She's got a little cloak. She looks like she's a sneaky, sneaky one. But, it's interesting to see one of the humanoid races that people play a lot as a gnome, and they went with a darker style to it. More of that evil necromancer kind of feel going on there. So if you want to play an evil gnome in a group, this would probably be a great stand-in for it because, A, she's got a skeleton. She must be a necromancer, which gives her a more unique appearance. Very nice. Or, yeah, I assume it's a she. Yeah, it's got a she look. Anyway, very nice and a very interesting new change to a gnome that I don't have a style of. Very nice. I got to give that to you, Path. Got to give that to you. Let's move on. Next up, we jump into one of the denizens of the Abyss, an evil demon known as the Rakshasa, with their terrifying, and it even does show the two strange, same type of hand. It's really weird. But, it's unique, it's different, and hey, he's not a bad sculpt. These sculpts are very nice. They have a lot of detail captured in them. On top of that, they're actually very nice plastic. It's strong and sturdy with just a little bit of give that needed, but, and I've painted some of them already, only because I wanted to kind of have as a surprise, and they take paint very well. So personally, they're pretty cool, and I like his style. This Rakshasa has some nice style to him. Some nice sort of regality, a little bit like he's ready to cast and throw some really good spells with his immunities and stuff and really mess your party up. Really nice. Let's move on. Next up, we have a tiefling, a very unusual miniature, and a nice male tiefling standing there with his bow drawn, ready to loose an arrow from that spiky-looking bow and strike down his foe to protect his party. I don't know if he was broken, but he does have a slightly different horn on each side. One horn looks like it might be battle damage, but if this is a rogue or maybe a ranger tiefling, he's probably seen battle and seen, encounters. So maybe that's just some battle damage. Does have a lovely sword there on the side. It does kind of suffer a little bit from the bend, unless it's supposed to be a bent style sword, which it could have been. Maybe it was just not intentional, but it kind of looks okay. His tail also looks pretty big. It's a pretty big tail. Maybe on male tieflings, you can have it so their tails are a little bit beefier and a little bigger. Sorry, my camera's just adjusting there. Oh, he actually has two swords. Sorry, I didn't realize that. He has two different blades. Looks to be a little bit of some flash on that second sword or whatever's going on there, but I'll look into that. He's got a little bit of some mold lines, but, nothing you can't touch up a little X-Acto blade and give a little thin little cleanup, but not bad. Very nice, and it's always good to get another tiefling for your arsenal. Next up, we have a sort of Athenian or Amazonian-looking warrior woman, and she looks pretty nice. She's got some very nice, lovely flow detail going. If you were looking for a nice paladin or a fighter or a barbarian-esque Amazon to go in your group for a campaign in the Theros, this miniature would be almost like she was made from it. She has great detail going on here, and she's got some lovely parts. I think, honestly, she's got a lot going on. And it's very nice. She's got a very beautiful sculpt going, which is always good. It makes her, feel like that Amazonian warrior-esque woman praying to Athena or something. Really nice. Heck, you could even use her as an avatar of Athena, since, there's nothing saying she can't come in as a medium woman to direct you and give your group wisdom. So really nice. Multi-useful. Always great. Very nice. I gotta say, Path, very nice. Love the sculpt. Let's see if they keep it up with the others. Next up here, we have like a little Robin Hood-esque looking bard. I'm assuming he's a bard. He must be like a flute playing bard, as he has some like nice little gear, nice little satchel pouch. He's got a sword on his back, which, a nice little broadsword is always good to carry with you in the world of D&D. You can't go unarmed in this universe. Or it could be a giant dagger, whatever his stats you really want to go for. It looks like it's pretty versatile. But I like his sculpt. He's got the big hat on with the little feather coming out the back. Very nice. Like I said, he's got some little supplies on his hip there and all of his little pouches and potions. He's got very nice little glove and detail. Very nice. It's a nice human, and it's a male. He's definitely got a male sculpt to him, so you could use him as a female. He's got long hair going, so maybe he's a little bit of a hippie. I don't know. But very nice miniature, Path. Very nice. And nice to always get another type of bard that you could technically use for a couple different options, because you could use him as an elf too. There's hard to see those ears, so it's not like anyone's gonna look at it and go like, can't be an elf. Well, maybe he is, but very nice. Next up, we have a human or possibly elven warrior. It's hard to tell. The ears on this one are hard to see, but this could be actually a good standard for either a male or a female warrior, because the chest doesn't exactly give a lot away. Plus, when a woman wears heavy armor on the chest, it kind of holds things down. So you know what? It's good to have a miniature that can be kind of multi-useful. If I give her a very simple paint job, she could be a good stand-in for a female fighter or a male fighter or some type of spell sorcerer of some sort, maybe like those sorcerers that wield two blades but they cast spells while flinging their swords. As you can see, she's got has a lovely sculpt, and it's very unique, very different than like the veteran that came out of the Mad Mage. Has a nice style, and the swords themselves are each different, so that's a nice touch. Very nice, Path. Very nice. A very good, clean fighter miniature and very useful. Very nice. Very nice. A PC will be grateful to use it. Well, next up we have a sea hag, a type of hag I do not have. I have night hags, dusk hags, green hags, and even like the strange night hag from Pathfinder that looks more like a voodoo hag, actually, in the way it was designed. But, very interesting. I don't have a sea hag, so this is one I'm actually kind of glad to get. She's got a style that kind of makes it look like she's squatting to stop you in football, like she's guarding the whole thing with a ho, and she's about to tackle you and take you down. But hags are surprisingly strong for what they are, so it's not impossible. How about we set her up and compare her to her sisters of their terrifying little families? Ugh. Their terrifying little cults. Well, here she is next to her little coven of fellow hags. We have the Behir hag, or Behir hag, however you say it. The Howling hag that I painted up from the Castle Ravenloft board game. We also have the Night hag, and then we have the Green hag. And as you can see, she's kind of the most underwhelming of all of them. Her and the Howling hag are kind of simple. But you know what? Since she is a sea hag, they're very simple, usually in the book, and I don't know if they're considered the highest level of hagdom, but hey, you know what? She matches with the Coven, and it helps kind of cover those multiple different ranges. We got the Demonesque hag there on the left, the Green hag that kind of habits more of the woods, the Behur hag having the mountains, and the Howling hag where, well, maybe for humans in cities, I don't know. And she inhabits the waterway. So, we get a good combination of these hags covering multiple regions for their Coven. So really nice. I can have a Coven of the hags from each one. I forgot my Annis hag, but you can always put her in there as the Alpha hag with her big bulk, since she could be like a giant spawn of some sort. I gotta look back into her lore and maybe see if I want to make a big Coven type side quest for the group, or possibly main quest. Who knows? But it's nice to have another hag. Very nice path, very nice. Next up, we have a lovely elf, and she could be either a wizard, a cleric, or possibly a druid. And she has a nice design. I like her staff with this unusual sort of stick with a certain little curl there. She's got some lovely hair design going. She's got a very simple cloak, and then she's got I'm not sure you could say a fireball. Could be a fireball. Could be a blast of, I don't know, an acid blast or even ice blast. It's not really that much definition, but she has some lovely ear sticking out. She kind of reminds me of like a D&D version of Zelda due to the whole hair and that sort of design. But that might just be my fandom of The Legend of Zelda. So, but really nice. She has some lovely design going on there. Very nice. And it's always good to get another good elf to add to the inventory for PCs or NPCs. That could be an interesting plot development. Very nice path. Very nice. She looks lovely. Next up, we got this big bulky boy with his big body, them big old muscles, and the mighty big axe. Well, what am I going to say he's going to be? Well, I think this would be a great miniature to use for Goliath, as there aren't too many options for that. I know recently they've come up with a couple of different Goliaths. There was the unpainted Goliaths that kind of were barbarians, the unpainted fighters. I don't know if they made any unpainted rogues or not. I can't remember. But, then they also came in Rime of the Frost Maiden, where they had the sort of frosty barbarian look. But this guy is, pretty simple. Plus, if you're ever doing like a Wizard of Oz campaign, this could be a representation of the Goliath Tin Man or something, Or, if you could paint him metal and turn him into a Warforged. He doesn't have any hair and, very unique build. So you could say it's a Warforged. Multi-useful, but I would definitely probably just paint him as a cool Goliath with just a big great axe. Very nice. And it's always nice to see some love for those races that don't really get a lot of love for playing or for minis. Really nice. I like that path. I like the choices. Here we have what I'm going to call the fungus-covered undead, mostly because, he could be a fungus drudge. Now, comparing him to the fungus drudge, you do see a lot of detail. There's a lot of mushrooms going on there, things branching off his corpse. I wouldn't say you could use him as a blight unless you make a blight called a fungus blight. Maybe their requirement is the fungus requires a body to grow and sprout from and use for nutrients to move and attack. So, in the end, this guy could be useful for that. He's got that weird blown back hair look going, so very unusual. He's got the scream and the moan of a zombie, even the sort of walk of a zombie, but he also has roots. So maybe these guys have a little bit lower AC because they can't move much because they have the rooted ability, so it makes it harder to knock them prone. I don't know. Maybe they also have a spore ability, so if they're attacked directly by blunt force, they release spores or even slashed. Boy, maybe the best option? Hit them with some arrows and cut them down like a tree and take them out and burn them. This kind of reminds me of those like Last of Us, kind of monsters, all the mold and fungus and all that growing on with it's like, no, kill it, burn with fire. Very nice path, very creepy and very interesting. Makes you kind of worry when you're in those dark forests in the game. Next up, we have a small wizard, and I only say that because he is on a small base compared to the other minis. He's on a small base. He's on a 20 instead of a 28. So really interesting. I don't know if it's supposed to be a male gnome or a male halfling, because I know they're kind of smaller than people, but halflings are true mediums. So I guess this would probably be more of a gnome wizard, or maybe even something else. I don't know. Maybe it could be just a really old wizard who just shrank due to old age. Some people do that where they shrink when they get older. So I don't know. But, it's kind of got that Gandalf feel, except instead of a staff, it's got a little wand. Kind of actually looks like a knife at that angle, man, because it's kind of curved. Whatever, it's got a cool spell book, so obviously a spellcaster of some sort. It'd be funny if this was an apprentice, because of that age. It would just mean like, dude, you terrible at your learning. You bad, you fired. No, I'm just kidding. The demon overlord fires you and destroys you in the flames. No, I'm not that mean. Unless No. Now, this guy is pretty cool. I like his design. I love the flow going on in his cape. I love the pointy hat. It's kind of that traditional wizard with the wand and the book. Ready to cast some spells and affect you. I would think I would use this probably as a gnome. You could probably get away with using a halfling even though it's on a small base. But hey, mini's a mini, man. Got to use it for what it's available for, and it's good that it's technically multi-purpose. Let's move on to another miniature from this box, shall we? Well, here he is. Next up, one of the unique miniatures I saw a picture of on the site before I ordered him, the Mind Flayer. That's right. Those creepy, tentacly faced, almost sort of Davy Jones-styled monsters that paralyze you with their psionic powers, touch you with those tendrils, and steal your precious brains. Delicious brains. It's like they took the hunger of a zombie, mixed it with a super smart individual, which oddly shy away from magic normally, but have the great power of psionic blasts. I also love his sculpt. I love how he's got that very nice, sort of intricate looking details going on there. His tendrils also have a lot of life in them. They're wiggling all over. They look like they'd be wiggling on his face. This guy is going to be a real pleasure to paint and make into a cool miniature. Well, let's compare him to some other Mind Flayers, shall we? So here we go. Here he is compared to three other Mind Flayers. We have the Mind Flayer from the unpainted set that I gave a blue paint job with this sort of tentacly staff going on. We've got him also next to a lovely female Mind Flayer. I know, weird to hear those words in the same sentence, lovely female Mind Flayer. But I figured that this one I got from Etsy would be a great addition with her giant scythe and dismembered head. I did do a review on her on another video, in my older video, so check her out if you want to see her a little more in depth. And then we have my big bad spellcasting Mind Flayer over there, where he's got like I kind of made it available to be a psionic ball or a flame ball, just unique color, and his big sort of spiky staff, ready to fight. So he fits in perfectly great. He does have a more, I'd say, sophisticated tone to his thing. So maybe he's a higher rank than these other ones. They're more like warriors to protect the hive of elite, while he is the elite they're protecting underneath the power of the real Illithids. And then the Elder Brain. So very nice, and he's going to work really well in a Mind Flayer campaign encounter I've been thinking about making for a side quest. The nice bullcrap of brain eating and paralysis. Oh, and psionics. Oh boy. My players, that smile, they're doomed. The Demon Overlord's evil knows no bound. Well, anyway, let's move on to another miniature and see how it looks. Next up, we have an orc. A nice Orchid Warrior, a very nice sculpt and nice paint, or nice blank canvas to paint and bring to life with a cool paint job. I like the spiked pauldron shoulder pads there. Those look really nice. Those pauldrons are going to be fun to make them look gnarly, and I'm going to put little blood tips on them, like as if he rammed into his foe. He also has like a nice simple leather tunic, or a fur tunic, that he's wearing there, which is always good. He's got some boots and some leg bits there. A nice good old axe. The orcs love their axes, similar to how dwarves do. They like their axes, but the dwarves also like their hammers. But this guy has a nice paint, a nice sort of sculpt, and will literally have a nice paint job when I'm done with him. I love his design. He has a nice, unique ogre-esque kind of feel to him. Like you know what? I could use him as an orog. He is pretty beefy, and he looks a little bit more intelligent than your normal ogre. Like orc hybrid, which would be the orog. But he also does look more intelligent than your standard orc. But let's compare to some orcs and see how he stacks up, shall we? So here he is stacked up next to the other orcs, some more orcs. We have the armored orc from Tyranny of Dragons, an orc chopper all the way on the right there from the Reaper Bones. We have those two older style orcs there, a bandit and an orc that's more of a warrior. And then we have a lovely Warcraft orc, that's the lovely female Warcraft orc. And she's standing beside him. Maybe that's her man, and she's ready to fight alongside him and take down the Small's teeth. Let's move on, as he is pretty cool. Next up, we have two little Cobalts here, and they actually look pretty cool. As you can see, one Cobalt has a sling and a knife. He's ready for battle. And then we have a Cobalt that's got a little bit more padding armor, and he's riding on a Drake. Not much to say. They have nice sculpt, nice detail going on. They have the more draconian style look as they are getting more updates in the Unearthed Arcana coming out. Very cool there. I like his sort of ranger on the back of a Drake. Really cool. That's really all there is to say about that. I don't have my other Cobalts to compare them with at the moment, but I really look forward to painting them and giving some unique colors and paint jobs to make them look even more snazzy, ready to be possibly a PC or possibly some Cobalts you find in the group that just literally wreck your party. Moving on. Here is one of the ones I actually painted, the Gargoyle. Now, I tried to think maybe I should paint him as a demon, but there was no demons I could find that were good medium class that had his description, and I didn't feel like doing it. So he looks pretty cool. And I literally gave him a simple paint job. Simple gray, or primed him, simple gray, and then I hit him with a bunch of, what was it, Flesh Wash, and then I hit him with Survivor Shadow from the Zombicide set of Army Painter. And he looks pretty good. He's got some nice details, some nice roughage, some lines, shading, and he's ready to go, sit in the dungeon, wait for you to walk by, then walk out and simply deck you with those stone fists. And then maybe fly off after he's beaten you up a bit, or you start giving him the troubles. A very nice Gargoyle, and I like the unique pose. Very nice. Moving on to our second to last mini of the set. Next up, we have an Ogre. The Ogre that came with it. The big boy. The big chungus. That's right. Now you can see I gave this Ogre a red paint job. That's because I looked him up and made him a red mountain ogre. Something more unique and different, which I think was a great call. He happens to look pretty cool with his nice leather pants, the iron boots, the nice leather arm wrappings, some nice little tattoos going on there on his body. There's one on the back that's like a little triangle-ish looking thing. It's supposed to be called the Mountain. There's those little side ones there for blood. And then he's just got a little bit of some like just little mini marks to the face. And his teeth have a nice forward point on them. Plus he also carries that nice, awesome iron club. Simple paint job, but looks fantastic. Now, let's compare him to some other ogres, shall we? Now here he is next to 4 other ogres. We have the Cave Defenders Ogre and 2 of the Reaper Bones Ogres. And as you can see, he's a big, bulky boy, similar to how the Jada was bigger, but not in a bad way. Since Red Mountain Ogres are a little bit more respected by ogres since they actually do smithing and do more trading, as they happen to be pure neutral instead of evil. So very unique, and they kind of look a little smarter, as why need all the hair and the beards when that stuff gets set on fire? So really cool. He's going to blend in and have a unique presence on that board. Plus, you could also use him for a Demon Ogre if you really wanted to. So, really nice. Let's get to the final miniature, though, shall we? The one that's going to have a special place in my future. And there he is, the dwarf kind of cleric warrior that came with this set. I've got him all painted up. He's ready to go on the board. He's ready to smack around some demons with that mighty big hammer of his. And he's ready to do it in style with the power of the cleric of his mighty leader, Celestia. That's right, he's a cleric of Celestia, since he is a cleric of light, wielding a mighty dwarven iron hammer to wield and strike down his foes with those silver accents on his armor and the silver wings with his nice white robe for battle. I really do like this mini. He came out great, he's looking good, and he's going to actually be my next character in Season 3 when we get to doing it. So I hope you guys do stay tuned, and as I said, join our podcast for the Dice and Dummies, watch our older seasons, get caught up, and stay tuned for when we finally do Season 3. Whether we'll be living it on Twitch is uncertain. We're hoping to maybe get ready to do so, but we're starting to do the episode zeros, which are kind of like, you know, before the game begins, so maybe soon we should start. I will always make sure to do a message on Twitter when we do so, so if you want to follow me on my Twitter, at 01Berserker or at the Demon Overlord, you'll see the same picture as on my YouTube channel for it to know it's the right one. I will do an announcement there. I might even do a video announcement with me and my bro. We'll see. And plus, this guy just looks fantastic. I'm sorry I'm getting very egocentric on my own paint job, but he just looks so cool. I can't wait to play this cool cleric and provide some thunderous, mighty radiant light peering down onto the battlefield to protect us from the demons, and striking them with my hammer if they think, this cleric can smash you back. Ha ha! The mighty dwarf, Thorald Darkbane. Well, anyway, guys, if you enjoyed the video, I definitely thank you for staying this far. You get to see all the cool paint jobs I've done on a few of these guys, and there will be more in the future. Check out Twitter, where I will be posting videos or pictures when I get done with them, which you can get some more multi-shots and comparisons. And if you guys like the channel, please do leave a like and also subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave a comment, guys. It helps the channel more than you know. Anyway, guys, also share it too. It also helps get the channel out there so more people can enjoy these videos alongside you. If any of your friends want to check it out, or if you want to just get more ideas for your campaigns, I'm glad to help. Anyway, guys, have a great one. I welcome you all to the next video, and bye-bye and stay safe out there.